Welcome to Mastering the Art of Short Sales. I'm G. Dunstan with Long & Foster.
And I'm Brandon Brittingham with Long & Foster.
This class is all about saving the American dream from foreclosure. We know that we are in this war neighborhood by neighborhood. And different than a lot of the courses that are out there, this is all about how to and doing it in the trenches.
And what we want you guys to know out there is that we're active real estate agents. We're in the field, we're in the trenches just like you. And we've been involved in hundreds of short sale transactions. And this is something that we're bringing you based on actual real world knowledge on how to close short sales successfully and limit your headaches and limit the amount of time you're spending on each individual transaction. So, what do you do in the situation where you get an approval letter and the approval letter doesn't match the contract of sale? The approval letter's terms are different than the contract of sales terms.
The contract wording is approved by the seller. They're still in charge, subject to the approval of the lender. And it's what the lender says, and then in turn, that promise is put in that lender letter that has the final say. Now, the seller certainly has to be satisfied with the wording of that letter, and therefore we strongly recommend that the agent does not ever attempt to interpret the wording of that letter, because those lenders have written those letters and they're presented and have been created by attorneys, and there'll be multiple opportunities for misunderstanding and misinterpretation. But getting their seller, before they sign it and accept it, to get the legal advice of the attorney and or potentially even an accountant will have a significant importance before the deal can be consummated.
So one thing that we hear all the time is, why are short sales important? A lot of agents say to us, well, I don't want to do short sales because they're too difficult, or whatever the case may be. The fact of the matter is, short sales are very important. They're very important from a growing your business aspect. They're also very important from stopping foreclosures in your community. And the fact of the matter is that short sales are not very easy, but it's because of misunderstanding and miseducation on both sides. The reality of short sales now, especially with what's been going on in the banking sector, with Linda Green signing all the foreclosure documents, is that a lot of the banks now are leaning towards doing these short sales. They want to do short sales. You'll hear us say it throughout the course that it's the lesser of the evils. And potentially this can be 40 to 60% of our market in the next 4 to 6 years. And one of the main, really big, important reasons why you should do short sales, and we really want this to resonate to everybody that's out there, is the fact to grow your business.
And in closing, the last question that we'd like to ask you, Marcel, is in the next 12 to 24 months, what would you at Fannie Mae like to see happen as relates to where we're headed with the short sale challenges of today?
I'd like to see as many homeowners stay in their house as possible. And wherever I can't make that happen, I'd like to see it a short sale and not a foreclosure. Now that's going to be very tough. We've got a lot of homeowners who are in a very tough spot, who've been delinquent for a long time. And we're not always going to be able to do that. But we're going to strive to keep as many homeowners in the house as possible, and where that's not possible, do a short sale. That's our goal.
Now, how are investment properties and second homes treated from a tax standpoint in a short sale?
Well, that's a good question. Normally, these type of short sales are taxable income to the taxpayer. Now, there could possibly be some exclusions because, again, the cancellation of debt income is very complicated. Once again, this is a facts and circumstances situation. Who really owns the property, whether it's business or farm. So there's some alternatives there, but generally I would have to say that that income is includable in the taxpayer's income.
Okay, we get a lot of questions and there's a lot of confusion and misinformation when it comes to short sales on, when there's a ratified contract, when it's considered ratified. So could you shed some light on that?
Well, first, let me preface everything I say by saying I am not an attorney, and so I'm not giving legal advice. But, being chair of the Maryland Real Estate Commission, I've been on the commission about 6 years now. And the question comes up a lot because people have these ideas as to when a contract is accepted by both parties, when it's binding upon both parties. And the reality is, what people forget, in a short sale, the two parties to the transaction are the seller and the buyer. It's still the seller's home. If you go to the courthouse and do a title search, it's the seller's home. It's their property to do what they want with. So when they reach an agreement with the prospective buyer, the meeting of the minds is between those two parties. That's what causes that agreement to be accepted and be in place. I never like to use the term ratified. It's overused. Now, there's a contingency in the contract with the short sale. And in fact, there might be several contingencies. Some of the contingencies might be home inspections, could be termite inspections, could be financing. But one contingency that's always there in a short sale is that the seller has to go to their mortgagee and make sure that the mortgagee is going to go ahead and waive some part of money that they owe them. And if they say no, based on the payouts and the seller's financial position, because they're looked at very hard. If they have a lot of assets, we all know that, they look at the assets, they look at their income, they look at their financial situation, they might say no. The mortgage company might say no. But but that only is a contingency removal. It doesn't, and then of course if the contingency can't be removed, of course the contract would probably end up being void. But a lot of people suffer under the misunderstanding that because the bank has to give their approval, that they can go ahead and have their seller enter into accepting multiple offers, ship all of those off to the bank, and then the bank will say, well, we like these 2 or 3 in this order. But the bank's not a party to the contract. All the bank is doing is answering the seller's question of, will you forgive some or all of the money I owe you? And people need to remember that.
Okay, and if you could, what made you decide to take a class in short sales today?
It's the area that I'd like to specialize in real estate. So I see that it's one of the fastest growing areas in real estate. That's one thing. The second thing is it really is an area where a lot of people are hurting, and it's an opportunity to really help a lot of people who would otherwise go into foreclosure.
Okay, and did you find today's class helpful and information useful?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I found it so helpful. I'm taking the advanced class on Friday, so I'm taking the second part of it. And what's really great about it is both. Thank you. This is my certificate, by the way. I just won my certificate. So I just got handed my certificate that I am a certified short sale. Certified in short sales. Excellent. So I'm going to take the advanced class on Friday, and I really like that both G and Brandon have done this. They're not just doing it with theory; they actually do a lot of short sales themselves. So that's what's awesome about it.
Excellent. Thank you. That's great. What made you decide to take a short sale class?
Well, I thought I knew a lot about short sales since I really started doing them about 15 years ago, not as much as I've been doing 4 or 5 years. But I just 2 weeks ago decided go get it, go take it, and now it's great, it's outstanding, it's the most fantastic course, it's well organized, well set up, well explained. It's great, and I'm going to go back to the office, and the 2 new agents that I recommended the other day to not take it right now because they're just so new, I'm going to tell them to get here because they won't be so blindsided when something happens where they'll have to deal with a short sale.
Perfect.